Thank you. A portion of every dollar that you and I give for God's ministry through Colonial Church goes to promote health care around the world. A few months ago, you heard Dr. Stacy Algren when she came back from helping out at a mission at a clinic in Malawi that our congregation helped get going, and she was over there serving. Last summer, we hosted physicians from Mungeli, India, who came and did a whole event here during the summer talking about the work of the hospital in Mungeli. And if you go around the world, you will find hospitals that were started as Christian missions. Christian missions just simply to offer health care. Just like here in Kansas City, a whole lot of these hospitals are called St. Luke's. And I remember running into a St. Luke's when I was in India, and I thought, what an odd name, like in the middle of India, to see a St. Luke's hospital. But as a part of our tradition, the writer of Luke and Acts in our Bible, the tradition has it that he was a physician, St. Luke. And so hospitals around the world bear that name. Here, I want to start today by hearing the mission statement of our hospital in Mungeli, India.
The whole community of Christian Hospital Mungeli is committed to providing holistic health care through excellent services, quality care, and respectful treatment in which the spirituality of each person is honored. No patient will be refused. All patients will be treated regardless of what religion they belong to, and the hospital will always strive to provide the best of services at the least minimal cost, always being aware to serve the marginalized and needy.
I love that. That mission statement reflects the heart and the teaching, the morality of Jesus. No question I have about that. We're beginning this new year with a series on Christian ethics. Now, ethics are a framework of rules and systems that we people put in place, but we put it on top of a moral foundation. And as we said in the first week of this series, Jesus' morality affirms the dignity, the worth of every person. All people, all of them, have a dignity that should command our respect. There are no worthless people. Over and over again, Jesus proclaims concern and love for all those people that the world has deemed worth less. He breaks social taboos against associating with those that the world would call outsiders. On the moral foundation of human dignity, over the years, Jesus' followers, Christians, have built ethical systems based on that moral foundation. We've built hospitals, homeless shelters, schools. But I think something has changed. The ground has shifted a little underneath our feet. The ethics today are different. They're built on a slightly different moral foundation. The hospitals that Christians once built for the care of all people can get lost in the metrics of cost-benefit analysis, where healing becomes contingent on being found worthy. The insurance industry, at its core, by its very nature, must determine a number, a value, a worth on those whom it insures. We put a price tag on life. Now, the older you get, the higher your health and life insurance premium rise. When I turned 40, my jaw dropped. You could say, perhaps if I wanted to be a little egotistical, I could say, boy, I'm worth a lot more now. That is not how they see it. You know this. This is the way of the world. We live in a time of cost-benefit analysis. That's how we do things. It's business. It's called utilitarianism. Now, the ethics of utilitarianism recognize that in a world of limited resources, that there must be dispassionate metrics so that we can maximize benefits, happiness, health, to the greatest number of people at the lowest cost. It's a system that emphasizes the greater good. Utilitarianism promotes the greater good, knowing that there will be those people who in that very ethical framework will be lost, marginalized. There are acceptable losses. The moral foundation on which all these schools, hospitals, homeless shelters, the moral foundations on which they were once built, that idea that the best of services at the least minimal cost, always being aware to serve the marginalized and the needy, that vision becomes quaint, like a relic of the past. The moral foundation of utilitarianism is concern for people, yes. It's humanist. But it is a system that recognizes, concedes, that there are people who are going to be lost or worth less.
How much money should be spent on reducing air pollution? The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, tried to answer this question with a cost-benefit analysis. It asked, how many lives would be saved by air, and how much was each life worth? It set the value of a life at $3.7 million, except for people older than 70, whose lives is valued at only $2.3 million. Lying behind the different valuations was a utilitarian idea. Saving an old person's life produces less utility than saving a young person's life, because the young person has longer to live, and therefore more happiness still to enjoy. Advocates for the elderly did not agree. They protested what they called the senior citizen discount.
All the tax collectors and sinners were gathering around Jesus to listen to him. The Pharisees and legal experts were grumbling, saying, "This man welcomes sinners and eats with them." Jesus told them this parable. Suppose someone among you had 100 sheep and lost one of them. Wouldn't he leave the other 99 in the pasture and search for the lost one until he finds it? And when he finds it, he is thrilled and places it on his shoulders. When he arrives home, he calls together his friends and neighbors, saying to them, "Celebrate with me because I found my lost sheep." In the same way, I tell you, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who changed both heart and life than over 99 righteous people who have no need to change their hearts and lives. Or what woman, if she owns 10 silver coins and loses one of them, won't light a lamp and sweep the house, searching her home carefully until she finds it? When she finds it, she calls together her friends and neighbors, saying, "Celebrate with me because I found my lost coin." In the same way, I tell you, joy breaks out in the presence of God's angels over one sinner who changes both heart and life.
One thing is clear. Jesus does cost-benefit analysis differently than the EPA does it. They have different moral foundations that they're working off of. There are no expendable people in Jesus' way. And the message of Jesus' parable is clear. All people have worth, have dignity. There are no acceptable losses. No person's value can really be reduced to just a number. No person's life can be defined by a label. This is foundational for Jesus' morality. But like I said, it's a kind of thinking that's almost quaint today. It's kind of like some sort of relic out of the past that we know existed maybe once. When we put a price tag on human life, when we label it and determine a person's worth, we are crossing a moral line. Think about it like this. Our nation's entire healthcare debate today is framed in cost-benefit terms. We try to maximize healthcare at the best cost. And we've come to accept that in that there has to be a number of people who will be lost, not included. But here's the thing. The public debate is based on the shifting sand of a certain kind of moral. It's based on the idea that we can put a value, a worth, on human beings. It's like that pro-parenting move of mine where you give them options, you give your children options, but the people in power, me as the parent, I only give the options that I'm willing to entertain. The options that are usually discussed in relation to healthcare are only different now in the type of cost-benefit analysis that they have. So maybe what we need to do is reframe it all. Maybe what we need to do is take a step back and consider some of the quaint ethics. Those quaint ethics built on a moral foundation that actually built hospitals, schools, homeless shelter around the world. Maybe, just maybe, Jesus was onto something. Maybe we need to be reacquainted with the morality that is based in the dignity and worth of all people. Maybe we've come to accept the way of the world, utilitarianism, as the only way. Hokey religion is no match for a good cost-benefit analysis that puts a premium price puts a price on human life. This is what we've been told. This is the option that we've been given. This is the human wisdom of the world.
The foolishness of God is wiser than human wisdom, and the weakness of God is stronger than human strength. Look at your situation when you were called, brothers and sisters. By ordinary human standards, not many were wise, not many were powerful, not many were from the upper class, but God chose what the world considers foolish to shame the wise. God chose what the world considers weak to shame the strong, and God chose what the world considers low class and low life, what is considered to be nothing, to reduce what is considered to be something to nothing.
I proclaim that there is, in Christ's foolishness, there is more hope than you will find in the wisdom of the world. I proclaim that there is a moral foundation in Christ's way, a way that the world now considers foolish, a way that sees people as worth less or outsiders. I proclaim the truth that was once spoken, that we can build ethical systems that recognize the untapped potential in the people of this world who are considered low class and low life and believe that they have the same right to healing as anyone else. I think that this is the message that Jesus gave to his church. And I think the world needs some of that hope today. We need some of that good news. The time has come for us to step back and consider not just the options that the world presents us with, but to assess the moral foundation underneath. Because rich, poor, gay, straight, black, white, or wherever you fall in this world, in God's system, in God's kingdom, all human beings have value. So much so that Jesus died and would die again and again for any of us. So I ask you now to stand and honor the foundation and the hope of Jesus' way with our hymn. My hope is built on nothing less. It's number 403 in our hymnal or on screen. Please rise.